I met you a year ago when you did Rock and Roller in London, and I honestly didn't know who you were. And a year after, I definitely know who you are, and I've seen all your movies.
That's because you made me. I was nobody until I met you.
But has it changed? Have you changed a lot? Because I remember you as this flirty, outgoing Scottish man. Are you still there?
Well, I thought I flirted with you last night at the premiere.
Well, you did.
But not the same, with some reserve.
Not the same way.
No.
Well, because the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, like, you are a flirtive person, and there's nothing wrong with it. But does it come out wrong because you are that way?
I used to be able to get away with murder, you know, when I do interviews. I could say anything I wanted, and I did. I was spontaneous, and I still am in a lot of ways, but then you realize that often if you do that, like I got myself into so much trouble in press because you make a joke, and then it suddenly is in print, and it doesn't have the same, you know, it's all about inflection. Like, you know, I could say right now, I think you're a nightmare. And I say it, and you know I'm being funny, but you know if you put that in print, it's I think you're a nightmare, and the person's reading it's going, wow, I can't believe he said that, and so it's you learn. I was actually sent on a media training course many years ago because of me saying things and getting into trouble. And then what? But it didn't stop me, you know. I especially in front of a camera. But now the weird thing is with internet. It happens, even if you say something in front of a camera, it then goes into print. People know that they can abuse that, and then it gets exaggerated, and then it becomes something completely different. And it happens all the time, and then you go, well, what am I supposed to do? So it obviously changes you, but you have to be slightly more professional and think about, you know, you have to grow up a little, you know. So unfortunately I have to grow up. There's rumors abounding out there about things that even you have nothing to do with, and you go, you know, how did that start? So.
But do you read it? Do you read everything?
No, I mean I have done. Sometimes you can't help; it's thrown in front of you, and now I don't, because it just you're like, I mean that's not what I'm about. I'm an actor, and you make movies like this, and you work really hard. You know, sometimes we work 14, 16 hours a day. Sometimes you work 6 days a week, or you work and then you have to go and train. Whether it's if you're doing action, or whether you go and singing, or whether you're at the gym, you work really hard. And then you go on a press tour. You know, and 2 days ago I was in 3 cities in the one day, and you do all that, and then you hear, you know, and you have piranhas who literally they make their living out of, in a way, causing other people to look stupid. People who've worked hard to get where they're getting, and they go, "Oh, look at them! They're up there. I can make money making up stories. I can make myself famous by living off their fame." And at times it can just be downright hurtful and unfair and dishonest, mostly dishonest. So it gets to the point where you're like, you know, I don't even want to see it. But then you come and you do press junkets, and everybody comes in and goes, "So we heard about this," and you're like. Really? Everybody, you know, or the odd friend will send you something. Now most of my friends don't, because they've had some angry texts from me going, "Why are you even sending me this? Why are you even reading this?" But, I mean, even I've fallen for it. Sometimes I'll read stuff about somebody else and I'll be like, "Wow, really?" And then I'm going, oh, of course they didn't, you know.
Yeah, but can you understand it? Can you sort of understand that, like, normal people, like me, when you see a movie star and you sort of think, oh yeah, I want to know the secrets about him, and I read all about it. I don't even care if it's true or not. I just read it.
Well, that's a shame that, you know, people want to read things and believe that it's true even if it's not, especially if it's...
It doesn't mean that you believe it. You just read it and you throw it in the toilet or whatever.
Okay, but maybe that's you, but most people unfortunately do believe it, you know. When there's rumors abounding, people normally, very few people, you know, who aren't in the business, you know, or who don't create these fictions themselves, they know it, you know, or people in the business will be like, okay, well, that's what happens, you know. I mean, I've had whole you know, and this is not a hurtful one, but one of the ones I just heard recently was that I go around with, I mean, and this is just stupid because there's a lot worse than this, but that I go around restaurants with my mum's strawberry preserve because I love her preserve. So literally I'll go in and I'll say I don't want, and I'll get scones and bits of toast and then I'll bring it out and I'll, you know, and then in the same article it said, this is kind of crazy, but he doesn't carry his toilet seat around like Brad Pitt does. And you know, like, well, I mean, Brad Pitt doesn't do that either. It's like, where did he get this from? It's so, it can, something like that is actually entertaining. I find that funny.
Yeah.
But it's other stuff that you can be like, is this what it's about? You know?
Yeah.
And therefore, yeah, I mean,
Does it stop you from being impulsive? Like, yeah?
It does. I mean, when I'm around friends, then, you know, then I'm much more impulsive. But it is amazing how, I remember my publicist said, you got to be careful now of what you even say in a Starbucks. Because nowadays, you got to understand, it is crazy now. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has some kind of recording device. So, you know, it's amazing the kind of things that they would pick up. Or just decide to call in and make a story out of that isn't even a story. And I mean, nowadays, no matter where you are in the world, you can be seeing into somebody's private life completely, because it can be like, look at that, now it's going on Facebook, now the world sees. And so that's a little weird. Even if you're in just ordering a coffee, it's kind of weird to think that you don't do that, or there's somebody listening to a conversation you're having. So you say be impulsive, and it's being impulsive, often you're doing fun, crazy, maybe irreverent things, but that doesn't always translate if somebody catches it out of context, you know.
So that means that if you met me in the lobby and let's say I asked you for a coffee and you couldn't do it because you would be afraid of the press, is it like that bad?
Sometimes it's like that. I mean, you know, if you and I would have a coffee now, it would probably be in all the papers. It's like, oh wow, look at this. I mean, it's happened to me 3 times in the last 3 weeks, you know, of people. And the thing is, again, you talk about the press. Gone are the days where it would just be local press. It goes on the internet, and suddenly a friend who now lives in Russia is like, oh, I heard you were having, you know, coffee with, you were having dinner with. So that's just, you know, that's the way it is. It's kind of dumb, but. But here's the thing, even I've always fought to retain, and this is part of being Scottish, I never want to change my life. I've tried to, you know, I don't go around with a posse, I don't go around with security, I don't, you know, it's not my thing, and it's not always easy to do, especially when, like, living in New York. The streets are very busy, and it's gone, you know, I mean, maybe 2 years ago it was 1 in 10 people recognize you, and then sometimes in New York it feels like 1 in 10 people don't recognize you. So when you're walking down a busy street, it's like, you know, you got the baseball hat, you feel like that, and then you go, I feel like I'm in hiding, you know. So it's weird, it's things